Hello everyone, welcome to Studious IELTS. My name is Surinder Chaudhary. Today I am going to talk about IELTS examination in general. In IELTS, I am going to walk you through the entire meaning of IELTS because many students start preparing for their IELTS examination but they don't know its fundamentals, they don't know its requirements properly. Due to that, it is really difficult for them to qualify their examination. So, if you understand IELTS and its fundamentals systematically before starting your preparation, it will really help you to understand it and it will really help you to plan your preparation throughout in a great manner. And let me tell you, if your planning for your preparation is good, you will not have to spend a lot of time to qualify your examination with good band scores. So let's understand what IELTS actually means. IELTS is International English Language Testing System, and IELTS as an examination or as a qualification of English language proficiency test is accepted by 140 countries across the world, and it is accepted by different universities, different colleges as well. All right, if we talk about the purposes of qualifying IELTS, there are three different purposes. First of all, many people do it for their study abroad because they want to get their higher education from different universities across the world, and for that, they have to actually prove themselves to be proficient in English language. So, for that, they have to qualify examination. Okay, another purpose is work. If you are planning to go abroad for work purpose, you want to work there, so you will have to again show your qualification in English language proficiency. That is again IELTS, which is very necessary to be qualified. All right, finally, some people also migrate to different countries to settle there. So even then, you need to do IELTS, right? Okay, moving ahead, if we talk about different types of tests, there are two types. One is IELTS academic and other one is IELTS general. IELTS academic is actually for those who are going for study purpose to English speaking countries. And if we talk about IELTS general, this is required for those who are moving there for the purpose of working and migration, right? Okay, if we talk about modes of this test, there are two different modes. First one, which has been running for years now, that is offline mode, which is also known as pen paper based IELTS examination. So this is the traditional method where you have to answer your examination in the form of pen and paper mode. But nowadays, there is one more mode of this examination which is becoming very popular and which has recently developed, that is known as computer delivered IELTS examination. This is also worldwide accepted nowadays, and in this method, your entire examination structure will be in online form. Okay, so now we will move to the modules of IELTS, the different parameters of IELTS where you are being tested, or you can also rephrase it by saying that what skills are tested in your IELTS examination. There are four skills which they evaluate you when they are asking you to appear for IELTS examination. First of all, they assess your listening capabilities. In this, they want to know that whether you are able to understand the natural accent of those people who are natives of these English speaking countries. So in that way, your test will assess your capability, whether you are able to understand their accent, understand their meaning, the way they say, right? So in this way, your listening module is tested in IELTS. Then they also assess your reading. So reading, as I told you, in academic, they will assess you on the basis of your academic understanding of different research papers, scientific journals, etc. And if we talk about general IELTS, in that reading, they will assess your general reading of some day-to-day magazine articles, which are relatively simpler in comparison to academic reading. All right, writing is also very necessary, and in writing, they assess you again on two parameters. If we talk about academic writing, in academic writing, they will ask you to write a report that we will discuss in this video in details, and In general writing, they will ask you to write a letter, which might be a formal or informal letter. And in task 2 of IELTS writing, it is similar in both segments, whether it is IELTS academic or IELTS general. They will ask you to write an essay based on a very common topic that will be elaborated again in this video. Finally, they will also evaluate you on the basis of your speaking skills. They want to know if you are moving abroad, are you able to communicate with them or not? So in speaking test, they will assess you whether your articulation of English language is good, is it understandable or not, are you able to generate some ideas in different situations when you are communicating with someone or not. Okay, next we will talk about scoring pattern of IELTS, how your examination is scored. So, your whole examination is divided into 4 modules, which we have mentioned here, and all these modules are tested on band 9 parameters. Maximum band score for these parameters is band 9, and these will be evaluated separately first, and then there will be an average of those scores that will become your overall score, which also will be out of band 9. So remember that you will have to score individually first in those modules, then the average of those scores will be your final score. Okay, if we talk about evaluation criteria, for every module, there is a specified criteria to evaluate your examination. So, if we talk about listening, in listening, there will be a particular parameter of evaluating you, even in reading, writing, and in speaking as well. Okay, we will talk about these criteria again in the details in this video itself. Okay, so now we will move to our first module, that is listening, right? What listening actually is and what kind of test is there to be conducted. They will play an audio and they will give you a sheet in front of you that will consist 40 questions in it. You will have to listen to that audio, and while listening to audio, you will have to answer those questions according to your understanding of that listening. If you are able to understand them well, what they are communicating, you will be able to get good scores out of those 40 and out of band 9, that is a criteria set for your examination. And there will be 4 parts in your test, right? Every part will consist 10 questions. Total time allowed for this examination will be 30 minutes, and there will be an additional 10 minutes provided to you so that you can transfer your answers from your question paper to your final answer sheet, because for that they will give you an answer sheet in which you are supposed to mark your answers correctly. Okay, most important part to understand in listening is its marking criteria, because if you know your marking criteria, it will be really easy for you to track your progress. So I will recommend you to take a screenshot of this slide so that you can keep it with you, and whenever you are practicing for your listening, you will be able to understand on what score you are standing at. So in this table, you can see that your scores out of 40 will decide your band score. So for example, if you are scoring either 35 or 36 in your examination out of 40, it means your score will be 8 bands in your IELTS listening. So in this way, this score is evaluated, and I would recommend you to keep it with you whenever you are practicing for your listening. Okay, understanding listening further, there are 4 parts in it, and what those 4 parts actually contain, that is very important to understand. In part 1, you will have to listen to a dialogue that will involve 2 individuals in a very common social situation. There will be 2 speakers in it who will be having a conversation with each other. They will be talking about some certain situation, and there will be 10 questions related to that situation in which you will have to mark the right answer by understanding their conversation properly. In part 2, there will be a solo speech. One person will be speaking in that. That will again be very common social setting, and even in that case you will have 10 questions and you will have to answer according to the understanding of that audio. Okay, in part 3, there will be a proper discussion, and in that discussion, there might be 2 people, there might be 3 people, and even there might be 4 people sometimes who are having a discussion with one another, and that discussion will be very much related to academic discussion, right? Because there might be a university lecturer and other person who is communicating in that discussion might be a student or 2 students or even 3 students. So in that case, there will be a proper academic discussion in this part, and you will have to understand that discussion and you will have to answer another 10 questions according to this audio. And finally, in part 4, there will be a lecture, and that lecture will be entirely academic. It might be a university lecture delivered by a university professor about a certain topic or a situation. So you will have to listen to that very carefully, and you have to answer all the questions, question number 31 to 40, the last 10 questions in your examination, which will be related to this lecture. So you have to listen to them very carefully, and you will have to answer all 40 questions in your listening. So now we are going to talk about types of questions that are available in your listening test. So there are certain types, and some of them are very commonly occurring, and some are, you can say, sometimes these question types occur, but sometimes these might be missing as well. That I will tell you which are most common ones and which are rarely occurring, or that are occurring occasionally only. Okay, question type 1, multiple choice. This is most common one, and in every IELTS listening examination, you will have to face that. There might be 3 options in that multiple choice question. There might be 4 options, even there might be 5 options as well. And sometimes you don't have to just mark one option in your answer. They can ask you to mark more than one options as well. So there are different types of multiple choice questions in your IELTS listening. You will have to read your instructions properly. That is most important part. If you read your instructions properly, you will understand it and you will not miss out on any important details in your questions. Okay, question type 2 might be matching a list of items from the recording to a list of options. So let me tell you how does it appear. Audio will be played. There will be a list of a few things or a few names, and there will be certain options related to those names, right? You just have to match these options with the given names, and that will be understood from the audio itself. You will have to understand it properly, and then you will be able to match it correctly as well. Even in this case, I will have videos related to each question type in details with proper examples and audios in subsequent videos, so that you could be able to have a nice look on it and you could be able to understand it properly. Right? But this video is basically actually for the understanding of IELTS in general. Okay, if we talk about question 3, there might be a plan, right? A layout, you can say, a map or a diagram. In those maps or diagrams, there will be certain options given. They will give you options like A, B, C, D. You just have to locate that, what A stands for. And how will you locate? You will have to get it from the audio itself. You will be given options as well, right? According to those options, you will have to mark the right letter in that. For example, you are given question number 1 to 5, right? There is a map in your examination, and in map, there are 5 options, A to E. What you have to do? Option 1 to 5 will have the names of those locations of map. And A to B will be the right location in the map. You just have to understand from the audio that if the audio is talking about a certain amenity, for example, if the map is having a parking lot in it, right? In your option, parking lot is given. But you will have to find that where exactly the parking lot is, because in map there will be a letter only, either it might be A or B or C. You just have to match that A or B or C with the given parking lot option. So again, I'm telling you, there will be a detailed video on listening, and in that you will have great examples to understand it. Here we are just trying to understand the question type itself. Okay, question type 4 may have a form, right? Like a form that you fill for some admission or something else, right? It might have a proper note, it might have a table, right? Or it might have a flow chart, or even there might be a certain summary which will be having some blanks in it. You will have to understand it, you will have to listen to the audio, and you will have to mark the right answer in those blanks, right? In that way you will be able to get scores in your listening. Question number 5 stands for sentence completion. Some sentences will be left incomplete. There will be certain options of sentences endings. What you have to do is to mark the right ending from the given options to those sentences. And that again will be taken from the audio. If you listen to the audio carefully, you will be able to find these exact completion endings. Okay, and finally, there will be some short answer type questions as well. They will ask you certain questions, and you will have to mark the right answer according to the audio. And even in this case, because in this case, students make certain mistakes. Let me tell you what those mistakes are. First, they might write more than allowed words, because in instructions it is clearly written that you are allowed to use either one word or two word or maximum three words. But if you write more than prescribed number of words, your answer will be incorrect. Secondly, students also make spelling errors in it. If your spellings are incorrect of your answer, even in that case, you will not get the required score. It will be marked incorrect, I would say. And what kind of spelling errors do they do? Most common spelling error is about singular or plural, because sometimes they listen it as singular only, but they might have a spoken in the plural form. There might be an S at the end of the answer. So you might skip that. So it is really important to be very careful when you are listening to your audio, whether they are speaking that word in plural form or singular form. So please always remember this. Even in this type of question, you might make that error, because in form, note, or table completion, you have to write certain words that you listen from the audio. Even in this case, sometimes there is a mistake of singular and plural. So it's very important to listen to the audio very carefully. Okay, now we are moving to our next segment, our next module or next skill that is tested in IELTS, that is reading. So reading, as I told you in the beginning, is of two types. There is different reading for IELTS academic, right? In IELTS academic, they ask you to read the passages which are taken from some educational or research articles. So these are more academic in structure. But in IELTS journal, there are paragraphs or passages, but they are not academic or scientific. They are from some day-to-day or general life articles which are relatively simpler. So let's understand the structure of test. What kind of test it is? It is again carrying 40 marks like listening. You will get 40 questions, and in those 40 questions, you will have to get scores required according to this parameter that we will discuss. Okay, if we talk about IELTS reading, reading academic. In reading academic, there will be three passages. You will have to read each and every of these, and the number of questions are almost equally divided. Two of them will be carrying 13 questions each, and one of them will be carrying 14 questions. But if we talk about reading journal, there is a variable number of passages appearing in your reading. There might be 4, there might be 3, there might be 5 as well. You never can set a set parameter or set number for that. Time in this test is 60 minutes. You will have to answer all your questions and transfer your answers to the final answer sheet within those 60 minutes. So it is really important to manage your time in your IELTS reading examination. And then marking criteria is also very important. This is the marking criteria for IELTS reading journal and IELTS reading academic. You can take a screenshot, I'll move away, of this criteria, and you will have to keep a proper progress of your practice of reading so that you can get to know that how many band scores you are getting. So there is minor difference between that marking criteria in academic reading and general reading, but still you will have to keep your progress on, and you will have to track your progress day by day whether you are getting the required score or not. All right. Okay, this is more important to understand in reading. If you know the types of questions in reading, you will be able to solve your readings properly. First of all, let me tell you, there are detailed videos on our YouTube channel about each and every type of question that I will discuss here, and there will be proper workshops on it. And I have taken those workshops from the actual readings that are appearing in your IELTS examination, and I will explain that if you are solving one type of question, how will you have to approach that reading. So these videos will help you a lot. Here we are just going to have a look on all these types of questions. So firstly, there are some match the heading questions. Your passage will be divided into different paragraphs, and at the end of your passage you will be given a number of headings, and you will have to match those headings to those paragraphs. Second type of question is match the information. These are a little identical but very different. Right? In match the information, they have again asked you to find the given information from the paragraph, because your passage is divided into again different paragraphs, and you will have to find that information, that statement that is asked in the question from that paragraph, and you will have to match it with that paragraph. Right? Okay, then there is true false not given category of question. This is I would say most appearing type of question, because true false not given appears in two forms. Sometimes they ask you to mark it true false or not given, and sometimes they ask you to mark it yes no not given. And this is most commonly occurring type of question, and you will have to study it very carefully. I have videos on it, I have proper workshops and lectures on it, and if you explore that on our YouTube channel, you will get great ideas about it. You will understand what approach should be there to solve this. Then there are match the sentence heading questions. Match the sentence ending questions. Some sentences will be left incomplete, and there will be proper options given related to that, and you will have to match those options with the incomplete sentence after reading the passage, after understanding the actual meaning of that sentence from the passage. Then some diagram labelings will be asked. A diagram will be given there. There will be some blanks in it. Some parts of that diagram will be referred as a blank, and you will have to find the right option from the passage. Short answer questions will also be there. There will be a proper question in your examination, and you will have to find the right answer for that from the passage. But even in that case, it is very necessary to understand the instructions. You will have to remember that how many words are allowed there. You cannot exceed the limit that is prescribed in your question. Okay, then there are multiple choice questions. These might be in different forms, and we will be doing that in details in a different video where I will be discussing multiple choice questions in a form of a workshop. There are sentence completion, right? In sentence completion, again, there will be certain blanks left in your sentence. And now there are no options given. You just have to find the right answer for that blank from the given passage itself. Okay, then there are summary completions. Even these are some kind of fill in the blanks. There will be a summary given, and in that summary, some of the words will be missing, and you will have to find those words from the answer itself, or sorry, passage itself. Okay, match the features means, for example, let me tell you, a passage will be there, and in that passage many researchers and their statements will be mentioned. Now, what will they do in their question form? They will write those statements in a certain order, and then they will write the names of those researchers. What you will have to do is you will have to select the right name of researcher that is connected to the statement that is given in the question. If you do that right, they will mark you correct. Finally, generally fill in the blanks. There will be certain sentences that will have some blanks in it that will not be completed, or some words will be missing from those sentences, and you will have to find the right options from the given passage, right? If you do that, again your reading will be okay. Okay, moving to the third segment of our IELTS examination, and that is writing, which is very commonly, misunderstood by many students, which is not properly, I would say, organized by students. Because what you do when you are doing your writing, you just focus upon templates. Many of the students I have seen that they cram some templates for their essays or for their report writing or for their letter writing, but they don't have proper organization of it. Because in writing, organization matters a lot. More than organization, writing demands you to understand its requirements. Many students come to me that I wrote a really perfect essay, but still I got 6 or 6.5. I'm not going beyond that. They don't understand what actually IELTS writing demand. There are certain parameters, they have given certain evaluation criteria to meet, and sometimes I do a lot of things to meet one criteria, but I am certainly ignoring 3 others. If you do that, your writing is not going to give you great scores. So for that, there is another video on our YouTube channel, which is defining all the writing criterias in details with examples and workshops. I have solved proper essays there, proper reports there, in which you can easily understand that how can I meet task achievement, how can I meet coherence and cohesion, how my grammatical range will be executed in my essay, and how will I be able to give the variety in my lexical resource, right? So in that way, you will have to understand all the criterias, all the requirements, and only then you are going to get good scores in your writing. So let's understand writing in nutshell. Okay, in writing, there are two tasks. If we talk about writing in IELTS academic, you will have a report and you will have an essay. If we talk about writing in general IELTS, you will have a letter and you will have an essay, I would say. Essay are same in both the types of examinations, but your task one will have change in it. So we will understand that. Okay, time allowed again will be 60 minutes for both the tasks. What is the marking criteria? How do they actually mark you in your IELTS writing? So first of all, their parameter is from 0 to 9 band scores. And how do they mark from 0 to 9? There are 4 different criteria. First one is task achievement. We will talk about that in detail as well. What task achievement is, as I told you, there is a video on this, and you can watch that video so that you will be able to understand what task achievement is. There are examples in which I have told you that how can you achieve your task in your writing. Then there is coherence and cohesion, the connectivity of the entire thought. Then there is lexical resource. One, range of your vocabulary. Second, its proper uses, its accurate uses in the context where you are actually stating something, right? And finally, there is grammatical range and accuracy. You will have to give different types of sentences in your writing, as well as those types must be accurately written. There must not be grammatical errors in it. For that, you must have a good hold on your grammar. Okay, so let's talk about types of IELTS writing. In IELTS writing academic, you will face 2 tasks. Task 1 is report writing. Task 2 is essay writing. So let me show you what they ask you in report. You will have to write a report approximately of 150 words, and it is minimum set criteria of words. It is not a very hard and fast rule that you are supposed to write more than 150 words, because even IDP says that we don't bound you to uh, write 150 words minimum. But still, if it is written in your question prompt, so it is necessary to meet that criteria. We can't skip that part. So what types of reports are there? There might be some line graphs. We will discuss that in details. You can watch our video on what IELTS writing is. So in that case, I have exemplified these things. You will be able to understand them properly. There might be some bar charts. They might ask you to write a report on pie charts, right? There might be tables to describe. Then there might be some process diagrams in which you will have to elaborate it in a report. And there might be some map or more than one maps. You will have to make comparison between two time zones in those maps, and you will have to tell about the development of that area in different time zones. And finally, they might give you a combination of two graphs or two, I would say, images. In one, they might give you a bar chart, and in another, they might give you a pie chart. You have to make a comparison in your report. Okay, if we talk about essays, if we talk about task 2, what kind of essays are there? First, there might be some discussion essays. There will be some opinion essays. There will be some problem and solution essays. There will be some advantages and disadvantages essays. Some essays might have some direct questions, right, which are not bifurcating things like this: problem, solution, advantages, disadvantages. And there might be some cause and effect essays. So in such cases, they will give you a statement, they will introduce a problem or a phenomena, and they will ask some questions in these forms related to that phenomena, and you will have to elaborate it in minimum 250 words. But more importantly, it should meet all the criteria of your evaluation that I have discussed previously. So even on those, we have detailed videos on our YouTube channel. Okay, now moving to IELTS writing journal. So I'm not changing anything in this in task 2 in essay part, because even in journal writing, you will have to answer an essay. But task 1 changes. What changes are there? First of all, it is a letter writing, and in letter writing, they ask you to write two types of letters. Obviously, at one time, there will be one letter only, but there is a bifurcation. So you will have to prepare yourself to be good at writing an informal letter and a formal letter. So what is a formal letter basically? In formal letter, you will have to write a letter to someone in a formal context, like writing to a manager, a landlord, or a company, right, or your boss or your teacher. Your letter's entire structure should be formal. But on the other hand, if you talk about informal letters, in informal letter, you will have to write a letter in an informal tone to somebody who might be your family member, who might be your friend, or that person might be anyone whom you know personally. So this is how you do writing in your IELTS. These are different types of writing tasks that will appear in your IELTS examination. Finally, we are moving to our fourth and last skill that is tested in your IELTS examination, and it is speaking. So in speaking, what structure is there? Let's understand that. There are three parts of speaking. It is divided into three parts. What happens in part 1? It is introduction. So in introduction, they will ask you some questions related to you, like your name, your place of living, etc. And then they will move to some very general topics which are common, like your morning habit, right? Whether you go for running or not, right? So in that way, they will ask you very common topics, because they want to assess your ability, whether you are able to communicate in general sense or not. Right? If someone is asking you about your hobbies, You must be good at explaining it in details. That is what they test in introduction part. Then comes the cue card description. They will give you a situation. For example, they will ask you to describe a newly opened store in your city. For that, you will have to talk about 1 to 2 minutes in a monologue. Right? Monologue in the sense you must be speaking in that case. Right? I would recommend to stretch it more than 2 minutes, but if they stop you in between, that is fine. Right? So in this, you will be given a proper prompt. In that, there will be a situation, and they will also give you 1 minute to prepare as well. Right? In that 1 minute, you will have to prepare a proper map of it. You can write some bullet points, and after writing those bullet points, you will have to elaborate it in this given time frame. Okay, then in third part, there will be follow-up questions. Follow-up questions are directly related to cue card description. Because what you have stated in your cue card answer, they will have a proper discussion on it with you. Because they want to assess your ability to, delve deeper into the conversation you just had. They just want to assess your ability, that are you expressive enough about your ideas or not. If you answer that well, your speaking is going to get you good scores. Let's talk about a few more things about speaking. For example, what time zone is there? Your speaking test mostly runs from 11 to 14 minutes. There are variabilities as well. It might be less than 11 minutes. Sometimes it might go beyond than 14 minutes, but there is, if we talk about general time zone, that is 11 to 14 minutes. It doesn't mostly go beyond that. What is evaluation criteria? Most important part, because in IELTS, the most common mistake of every student is not to understand what they want from us. You just start your preparation without giving much thought, right? You just start cramming some templates for it. So in that way, you are not going anywhere. Or even if you are scoring some required bands that are very close to minimum, right? So it doesn't give much satisfaction. So I recommend you to understand what IELTS expect you, then start your preparation. Okay, in evaluation criteria, first of all, you should be fluent and coherent. Fluency means your connectivity of your speech should be very good. You should keep speaking in a good flow, and there might be some uses of intonation in itself as well. Only then they will assess you to be good in your English speaking. Coherence is also important here, because coherence actually stands for the connectivity of thoughts that you are delivering in your communication. If your ideas are connected well from beginning to the end, they will understand that yes, you have good command on English language. Lexical resource is again important here. You have to give variety of vocabulary. You will have to have a great understanding of different parts of speech, the words that you are using. You are supposed to be very much in control of your communication and your words and their meanings. If you do that, you are good in your English. Okay, grammatical range and accuracy is again very important, because if you are fluent enough, if you are coherent enough, if you have great vocabulary, but your grammatical structures are incorrect, obviously grammar means a lot to generate a right meaning. If your grammar is not good, if your punctuations are not good, if your pauses are not good, you are not delivering the expected meaning here. It will create a lot of problems. Finally, they demand good pronunciation. Now, this is very confusing concept, because I have seen many students understanding that pronunciation means speaking a certain accent of a country. No, that is not demanded of you at all, because you cannot pick accents so easily. This is a very difficult job. They actually want you to be good in the pronunciation. Are you actually pronouncing the word rightly or not? Are your stresses correct? Are your sound combinations correct according to the demand of English language? You don't have to copy any accent. You just have to be perfect in your own accent, but your pronunciation should be completely okay. Okay, if we talk about mode of examination in speaking, this is conducted in two modes nowadays. First of all, most common one is offline mode. In offline mode, the examiner will be in front of you at the venue of exam, and he will be having a face-to-face discussion with you. But nowadays, there is one mode that is also very prevalent, that is online speaking. But let me tell you, even in online speaking, you cannot conduct it from your home. You will have to go to the venue of examination. There, they will provide you a laptop, and your examiner will have a video conferencing with you. And in that form, you will have to conduct your speaking. So this is all about IELTS in nutshell. This is a brief summary of IELTS. Everything that I have mentioned here has been described in details in number of videos that are available on our channel. I request you to go there, understand that how IELTS is actually understood, how is it prepared in an organized manner, what are its expectations, how can we understand different types of modules and their tasks. So in this way, I am sure if you are following it correctly, you will be able to get your required scores in your IELTS. Well, with this, I will conclude my today's lecture. We are available in Malot City. If you actually like my style of training, you can contact us for either offline training or online training, or you can also learn IELTS in details from my YouTube videos as well. Thank you so much.